you made a comment about how you was one of the few rappers that never sold their soul. What made you say that?
Because I know majority of these rappers. Yeah. I know what be going on behind the scenes. I know who not really in control.
Yeah, it's like, man, who is the new street rapper that we could sign that's gonna impact the masses in their city, and we gonna blow them up, and they young, so they don't realize that they being used right now, you heard me? They don't realize it. We gonna make them rich, and we gonna get one from every major city, because that way we can make sure that they give birth to a whole bunch of mini-me's that's looking up to them.
You know, a lot of times people be blinded by what they see in these videos on TV, but I just know. I know what I know, man. You know what I mean? Be going on behind the scenes. I know who not really in control. You know what I mean? I know the real. You know, a lot of times people be blinded by what they see in these videos on TV, but I just know. I know what I know, man. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people that ain't being righteous, and they ain't keeping it infinity, because keeping it 100 ain't enough. That's a limit. With me, you got to keep it infinity. So it's just a lot of people, man, that's just, you know, selling their soul and selling themselves short and distracted with the wrong things. So, you know, it is what it is, man. This industry is a very evil industry. You know what I mean? Like, it's very evil, man. So you got to really surround yourself with people that think like you or bigger than you. So it's a nice amount of, I ain't gonna even say nice. It's a lot of rappers that sold their soul, and you know, they let money dictate everything they do. They value money more than they value humans. I ain't participating in no bullshit. If it ain't righteous, I don't want to be a part of it, man. I'm not gonna snake my people, and I ain't gonna snake my people, and I can't sell my people out, and I ain't gonna sell myself out. Fame ain't that important, man, for me to just do anything. It's cool. I'm used to the attention.
Once you influence you, then you're an asset to them, right? So once you understand your value position, right? Like, you could be an independent guy, putting work in, and get to a point where you're good enough for them to purchase your soul, right? And when you see, there's no artist, let me be clear, there's no artist in this industry that's doing major numbers with these platforms that haven't sold their soul. And when you know what you're looking at, and you know how to decipher, you will see it. And the people like the brother right here who has this merch and is doing it out the trunk and direct to consumer, you will never get to that $20 million club without going through certain doors.
So now I gotta ask this question.
So E40 didn't do it.
Hold on. Now I gotta ask this question. Do you guys believe that the rappers that are at the top sold their soul?
Yes.
Nope.
Yes. Industry plans exist, yes. The music industry will conspire to say what this artist represents is something that we need more of in America. So if it's extreme ignorance, if it's watered down blackness, if it's whiteness that represents being able to be cool and be accepted by black people, whatever it is, we want more of that. So we will do everything in our power to make this person pop off and be a star, to push this agenda. Or we have a vested interest financially in seeing this artist make it. Because not only do we have this artist signed to us, but we manage this artist, and we know that this artist is gonna create a whole generation of people just like them. Yeah, they definitely got industry plans. Yes, all of these black artists who ain't even old enough to understand the contract that they about to sign, and who are being signed just because they had one thing that went viral, that they glorifying a bunch of murder and a bunch of just negativity, and all of a sudden they about to get paid millions of dollars. Those are industry plants. The industry knows the impact that those artists will have on the rest of their community. They know it. And they're just like, oh man, we need that person to make it for sure. But if you are representing something positive or something righteous or something intellectual or godly, you absolutely have to do way more work to make the industry say, all right, we're gonna let them in. It's like all right, we're gonna let a J. Cole in. We're gonna let a Kendrick Lamar in. But we got enough. We got enough of them. You know what I'm saying? We got enough of them. You realize that J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar are two of the richest rappers walking planet Earth today? Two of the most successful rappers? Why would the industry not want more J. Cole's and more Kendrick Lamar's?
Yeah, they don't even floss or anything, bro. You don't see them with jewelry, none of that.
Bro, J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar scare the industry, because if they let more of them in, you're gonna have a whole generation of people coming up who are black, who are saying, I ain't even gotta flaunt no jewelry, you heard me? I ain't even gotta flaunt fancy cars, and I can be intellectual, I can be woke, I can be a man of God.
Or rap about it.
Or rap about that stuff. And if you got a whole generation of black people that's coming up, that's like, man, there wasn't one J. Cole and one Kendrick Lamar. There were a ton of them, and they were all huge. Now, keep in mind, a ton of people exist who are doing the same type of work that Cole and Kendrick are doing, and they're doing that work in their own way. I'm one of the people, you know, and there's a bunch of people that are doing that. But for the mainstream music industry, man, they don't want a bunch of that to exist, bro. Like, it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't want more of that.
Been approached to do anything out of pocket?
I've been approached to have somebody come to my house and pray, and yeah, like, hey man, this guy, yeah, he's like he gets spirits out, and you know, he wants to come and pray. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I want to continue to pray the way I've been praying. I don't know who he believe in and what he believe in, but he can't come in my house. So yeah, peace. I kept God in what I got going on. I kept God. I keep God in what I got going on. I don't love money. I talk for myself. I come from a family that programmed me and trained me to be out in this world and out in the streets and knowing how to maneuver. So you can't lure me with no money or nothing like that. Like, meaning like, if I don't want to do the deal, I ain't gonna do the deal. The difference between me and a lot of artists is I started doing music for God. My grandmother played the piano. I was in the church. I sung in the choir. I played the drums, played the piano, sung in the choir for God, went to different churches and sung here and there, right? For God, doing music in the studios, making gospel music, making hip hop. Like, but I started off doing music for God. So,
yeah, depending on what part of the industry you're trying to get access to, there's gatekeepers. So if you're trying to get signed to a major label, there's gatekeepers. If you're trying to get on certain media platforms to get interviewed, there's gatekeepers. If you're trying to get on the mainstream radio, you heard me, urban radio, there's gatekeepers. Yes. On the totem pole of people with integrity and people with morals, values, and principles, these gatekeepers ain't nobody. But in this perverted, sick, twisted industry, these gatekeepers do hold access to certain levels, you know? Bro, I've had gatekeepers in the music industry who have literally tried to hold a record deal behind their back and let me know, like, look, if you're a part of this homosexual act that I'm trying to take part in, you hear me? Yeah, come on, this door open real quick for you. Like, I got a song where I've talked about that before called The Devil's Playground. Like, this is real, dog. And the only way that type of stuff can work on you is if you let them have all the leverage to where you want what's behind that gate that bad. So that's a real thing. You also got people who, this is a different type of gatekeeper. The gatekeepers who will say, hey, you making too much righteous noise right now. If you just tone that righteousness down a little bit, then we'll allow you into these doors. But you got to tone that down. You got to become a little more vanilla, you heard me? A little more lukewarm, a little more bland, and you'll fit in with us more. So that's the slick gatekeeping. It ain't telling you to all the way, you know, bend over or open your mouth or something like that. It ain't that, but it's telling you, like, dim your light. And what ends up happening is you got so many people that's like, well, that's not that bad. They not asking me to do nothing super crazy. I just got to dim my light. That's the scariest kind right there. Because a lot of people will be like, wait, I just got to turn it from level 10 to level 5? Man, bet. I could do that, bro. I bet. Now I get accepted? Cool. Next thing you know, you got a whole industry, brother, that's lukewarm. Whole industry lukewarm. So that when somebody that's on fire come along, they looking at it like, whoa, you crazy. Hold on. You shining too bright. Hold on.
I'm not gonna let money dictate every move I make when it comes to music. It's a blessing for me to be able to create. The money is gonna come. So I just pride myself in treating people right, and relationships outlast money. So you treat people right and you move the correct way, you'll have longevity. So for any artist or anybody that's a hater or just a fan or whatever you are, if you feel like some of your favorite artists fell off, sometimes you gotta just go take a trip down there and link up with them and see how they living. Cause I can speak for the artists that's in Texas. We still getting money, we still working, we still touring. We not broadcasting everything we do.
Lil Flip, the Houston legend who made millions independently, finally broke his silence. And what he revealed about the music industry will chill you to the bone. When Flip says he never sold his soul, he's not speaking metaphorically. He's talking about real life decisions, moments where fame demanded a price he refused to pay. He's seen it firsthand, talented artists pulled off the streets, wrapped in luxury, then stripped of everything that made them human. To the public, they're stars. Behind closed doors, they're puppets controlled by unseen hands that decide who shines and who disappears. Flip describes a system built on manipulation. Executives scour the country searching for the next street rapper, the next voice to dominate a city, not because they believe in the art, but because they know the influence it brings. Each new rapper becomes a tool, a seed planted to shape the minds of millions. They make them rich, put them on screens and tell them they've made it. But what the artists don't realize is they're being used not just to sell records, but to sell lifestyle, a mindset. The deeper you look, the darker it gets. Flip calls it an evil industry, one that feeds on distraction and spiritual decay. Money becomes the god, morality disappears. And the more fame you chase, the more you owe. According to Flip, most rappers in the mainstream have already made that trade, selling something far greater than publishing rights or masters. They've sold their spirit. He explains how the industry doesn't just exploit artists, it owns them. Contracts aren't just about percentages, they're about control. From the clothes they wear to the causes they endorse, nothing happens by accident. Every year, labels scout a new wave of street messiahs, young voices molded to represent chaos, excess, and violence. The plan is methodical, one from every major city, one idol per generation. They rise fast, burn bright, and fade even faster, replaced by another clone who spreads the same message. This isn't entertainment. It's engineering. Flip recalls how the manipulation reached his own doorstep, literally. He says industry figures once tried to send someone to his home for what they called a spiritual cleansing. A harmless prayer visit, they said. But Flip sensed something darker. He refused. To him, it wasn't about faith. It was about control. These weren't preachers. They were gatekeepers hiding behind religion, attempting to perform rituals meant to bind his spirit under their influence. That's when he realized the battle isn't just physical, it's spiritual. In an industry obsessed with power, those who resist are marked. Flip kept God at the center of his craft. He refused the shortcuts, the exclusive doors, the offers to participate in rituals or immoral acts for a guaranteed hit record. Because for him, fame isn't worth losing your soul. You've heard the term industry plant, but few understand how deep it runs. Flip and other conscious artists like D1 describe a network of gatekeepers controlling every layer: record labels, radio stations, podcasts, media outlets. Each level has its own guardian, and each guardian demands something in return. If you're trying to get signed, there's a gatekeeper. If you want radio play, another one stands in your way. Even interviews, award nominations, and festival slots are controlled by people who expect obedience. And the price isn't always money. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's your image. Sometimes it's your dignity. D1 revealed that record deals were literally dangled in front of him, but with one sick condition: participate in depraved acts and the door opens instantly. This wasn't rumor. It was an open secret, the dark currency of access. The system preys on the desperate young artist drowning in debt, hungry for validation, eager for a chance. And when the offer comes, it's never labeled evil. It's framed as opportunity. But once you cross that line, you can't go back. Lil Flip and D1 said no, and they paid the price. Flip calls it professional elimination. The industry doesn't attack you physically. it erases you. Suddenly, your songs vanish from radio rotations. Your interviews get canceled. Your face disappears from blogs and playlists. You're labeled irrelevant, not because fans stop caring, but because the system stops showing you. That's how the industry punishes resistance and visibility. But here's the twist, it didn't work. Flip thrived independently. He sold over 25 million records without the machine, touring the world, building loyal fans who supported him directly. No contracts, no handlers, no compromises. The same gatekeepers who tried to bury him ended up watching him build an empire from the ground up. Flip describes the new generation of rappers as lukewarm. Not hot with passion or cold with rebellion, just comfortable in the middle. That's how the industry likes it. They don't want truth tellers. They want entertainers who follow trends, dim their light, and fit neatly into the system. Some gatekeepers don't even ask for outright evil. They just ask you to tone it down. Stop rapping about God. Stop uplifting people. Make something more marketable. And most artists agree, convincing themselves it's harmless. I'm just toning it down a little. But that's how it starts. Small compromises that slowly kill authenticity until the whole culture becomes watered down, soulless, and silent. If the industry truly wanted positivity, they'd sign more J. Cole's and Kendrick Lamar's. But they don't, because artists like that scare them. They represent independence of thought. They don't flaunt jewelry or worship materialism. They rap about growth, intellect, and faith. Imagine a world with 100 J. Cole's, a generation of conscious rappers inspiring kids to think critically instead of glorifying violence. The labels don't want that. They allow a few conscious artists to exist just enough to say, look, we have balance. But they make sure the mainstream conversation stays toxic. Violence sells, ignorance trends, and positivity threatens profit. So they push the same archetype every year, the new street rapper from every city, spreading the same messages, shaping the same mindset. But what the system didn't expect was resilience. While the mainstream drowned in politics and payola, independent artists began building real businesses. Flip talks about how the Houston scene still thrives. Slim Thug, Paul Wall, Zero, all touring, all successful without label interference. They don't rely on viral moments or industry favors. They rely on people, on community, on customer service. Flip says success is subjective. You don't need $1 million marketing budget to matter. You just need loyal fans who believe in you. He still books shows, mentors younger artists, sells books, and connects with his audience directly. No fake image, no middleman. It's a blueprint for real longevity, the kind mainstream stars can't replicate. Because once the machine stops feeding them, they collapse. But when you build something yourself, it lasts forever. Why then do we hear so little about artists like Flip and D1? Because the industry doesn't just promote negativity, it suppresses positivity. It's deliberate. When a rapper speaks about self-worth, spirituality, or community, the algorithms bury it. Radio ignores it. Press outlets downplay it. Meanwhile, songs about drugs, violence, and sex get unlimited funding and exposure. It's social engineering, a weaponized culture designed to shape how young people think, talk, and live. The goal isn't music, it's mind control. If you glorify destruction long enough, it becomes normal. And if positivity disappears, the audience forgets it ever existed. That's how they keep the cycle alive, by convincing fans that integrity doesn't sell. But artists like Flip prove otherwise. Flip ends his message with one powerful truth. Respect matters more than recognition. He doesn't chase trends. He doesn't beg for approval. He cares about the respect of his community, his family, his city, and his God. While others compromise for a spotlight that fades, Flip stands grounded in faith, using music as ministry, not manipulation. He performs in prisons, mentors young artists, and shows them that success isn't defined by numbers, it's defined by impact. He knows he's not for everyone, and that's fine. He's for the ones who understand integrity still has value. Because at the end of the day, fame is temporary, but your soul is forever. The video closes with a haunting question. If 99% of the industry is fake, how many of your favorite artists still own their soul? Every stream, every view, every purchase is a vote, a signal of what kind of culture we want to build. Will you keep supporting a system that rewards compromise? Or will you stand with artists who keep their faith and their freedom intact? Lil Flip and others have shown that the independent path is harder, but it's righteous. It's slower, but it's pure. And maybe that's the real secret the industry doesn't want you to know, that you don't need to sell your soul to win. You just need to believe that truth still matters. Because in a world where everything is for sale, integrity is the only thing left worth keeping. So choose wisely. The industry may own the spotlight, but the light itself, that still belongs to God.